Okay, let's resume our Python. This is Cameron Say, North Carolina A&T. We had an introduction in the last video of Python and its basic structure. These videos are an introduction to programming per se, not necessarily an introduction to Python, but we're just using Python as a language because it is pretty easy, but yet it's still a robust language. And let me give you a little word. Let's talk a little bit more about Python's role. Python is, the reason we're using Python is it's a very flexible language, very easy language to learn. And it will allow you to learn the basics of programming while still learning some specifics of a specific programming language. In the past, we taught the logic of programming separately from the syntax of programming. So you use the stuff called pseudocode, which was more English-like, but it was basically algorithms, right, that were describing a problem. Another reason we're using Python is there has always been, I've taught introduction to programming for a number of years at a couple of universities, and the issue was always, okay, where do you start ground zero? So my feeling was always you used a non-object oriented language like C or BASIC or something that was not object oriented, because there is another level of complexity in object oriented programs that you might want students to have a little background under their belt before they took on object-oriented programming. But I've kind of moved away from that because Python really facilitates learning both what's called procedural or non-object-oriented programming concepts and object-oriented programming concepts at the same time. So I think that is, we'll see how it goes, but we'll take it very slow and see if you can keep on. So this is the screen we finished up with last time. Let's go to the next screen and try to finish up with basic Python syntax. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about comments. So comments are, I always tell my students that it's very important to comment your code, because while you may know what your code is doing, those coming behind you that are trying to read your code, it may not be as clear to them. Now, and accepting it as a language like COBOL, which we won't be talking about COBOL for a while, but COBOL is actually easier to learn than Python. But we are not using COBOL because COBOL really should be run in a mainframe environment. Now, if there's COBOL code that's not mainframe oriented. But COBOL, 95+% of COBOL code is running on a mainframe. And so this discussion is kind of separate from mainframe topics. So that's why we're using it. But comments are very important. So we've already seen the hashtag sign. You know, old heads like me call it number sign. Young folks, it's a hashtag for younger people. And anything that follows after that line will be commented out. For example, I can put a comment here and I'll put hashtag, and this is a comment. And I can run it and it has no syntactical impact on the program at all. And so if we go down here and we want to print mysterious value. And the print command in Python is just outputted to the what they call the console or the screen. Mysterious value, mysterious variable. And as you can see, this will have no syntactical impact. And I can put it to another line, another comment, hashtag another comment. Now, let's run that again. And you see it has no syntactical impact on the program. Whereas if I took the hashtag away and left the syntax in there, it's going to give me an error because it doesn't know what to do with that line, right? It gives an error. But let's say you want to put multiple comments in a place in your code. So Python has a way to do this. Well, let's progress on and do what they say do. Oh, we've already done that. So we've already done that up here. We put a one-line comment. Go to the next page. Now, here, and this is something I was just fooling around testing the multi-line comment. Now, the Python multi-line comment syntactically is a little different than that in C, C++, Java, and a variety of other languages that use the // they use something like this. So if I wanted to start a line in Java, multi-line comment in Java, I'd begin it there, and I'd put down some stuff, and then I'd close it here. And so the system is going to ignore everything that's in here, and it understands it to be a comment. Python's multi-line comment is, as they say, these three double quotes, right? Which in this interpreter is a little difficult because, well, it's not difficult, but it puts the double quotes in two at a time. So you have to go back and delete one of them for multi-line comment. But let's just see what it says here. Example of a multi-line and so I can run it, and it has no syntactical impact on the program. You don't get any errors. So let's go back and make sure we're clear about that. And so let's just run some Python code. And I'm going to put a string just to show that the program is ignoring the multi-line comment. Okay, that's good. Now, now we're getting to something interesting. Okay, so now hopefully you have some comfortability with the basic syntax of Python. But what do you need a programming language to do? A lot of compute, right? Compute values, numerical values. So now we're going to show a little bit about this. And over here to the left, you can see the different arithmetic. You always start with arithmetic and exponentiation. And division is a little different, but we'll cover these one by one. So the instruction is set the variable count to equal to the sum of two big numbers. So here I put my two big numbers up, and yours didn't have it. I put var1 and set that equal to 590. Set var2, set that equal to 333. Count 2, and that's going to be equal to variable count 2 is going to be equal to var1 plus var2. And I'm going to print out. Oh, didn't run it. Sorry. Let's run it. Okay, so it's 923. Okay, so that's addition. And you can do multiplication, subtraction, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about division because it does two types of division. When you put the slash sign to divide one number over another, well, let's hold off on that. We have a division example coming up. So exponentiation. So that's raising one number to another, the power of another number, right? To raising it to a certain power. I guess that's the best way to say it. For example, 4 squared is 16. 2 squared is 4. 4 squared is 16. And this comes into play. Well, this really doesn't come into play in terms of programming, but in terms of computation. You can think of everything as based on a power of 2. Every value in the computer, from a binary standpoint, is based on a power of 2. It uses what's called the base 2 number system, which only has 2 values, 0 and 1. And so you're raising 2 to a certain power. And we'll study binary in more detail later. But let's keep our focus on this for now. So I'm raising what it calls to create a variable called eggs and use exponent to set eggs equal to 100. So let's follow what they're telling us to do here and set eggs equal to 10 to the second power, the power of 2, right? And that's 100. So we'll run this and we'll see eggs equals 100. Okay, that's that. That's exponentiation, star, 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 star number. And they have spaces here. I don't have spaces. Apparently, spaces are not consequential in Python. That's why I made an earlier misstatement about white space. Python is going to have you indent blocks of code. For example, when you create a function, or I guess the more accurate term in an object-oriented language is method. So what a method is preset block of code that you can call, okay? And we'll see a little more demonstration of that in lessons to come. So let's run this again to see the white space, and the white space has no impact there. Let's go to the next one. This is the modulo operator. Now, what modulo does, as opposed to the division symbol, what modulo does is it returns the whole number. It will return the, no, I'm sorry, excuse me. I get them confused because it's, yeah, I always get them confused for some reason. Modulo returns the remainder, right? And you may say, well, why didn't it just give you, what the value is? We're doing integer operations, whole number operations. So the divide symbol gives you how many times one number will go into another, and modulo gives you the remainder. Okay, so 5 divided by 4, and there's 1 left over. So let's run this. Okay. Now I'm just going to experiment, and I'm going to say 20 divided by 4. 4 going to 25 times. So, but a remainder of 0, right? 20 will go into 4 or 5 times with a remainder of 0. However, if I use the slash symbol, run it, it's going to give me 5. So modulo gives you the remainder. The division symbol gives you how many times the number will go into another number. And so let's say 21, right? So that's going to be 5 remainder 1. But here, we run it, we see that's still 5. Now, if I put modulo there, which is the percent sign, run it, it's going to give me 1. Okay, hope you get the idea of what's going on with modulo and the division symbol. Let's go to the next one. So here what it wants us to do is write a single line comment on line 1. So we'll modify that. My single line comment, okay? That's the first thing we need to do. Now we set the value of Monty equal to true, which we did. Monty is a Boolean. It's a Boolean variable. And just so you know, the lesson hadn't told us this, but I'll tell you. For a lot of languages, for example, Java, C++, et cetera, the convention is for the first letter to be lowercase for variable names. That's the convention. And for constants to be all in caps. It varies from language to language, but you'll notice that all of our variables are in all lowercase. So mine is equal to true. Variable Python equal to 1.234, which we've done. And we're going to square Monty Python, which is equal to the value of Python squared. So we have this here. And it doesn't tell us to do this, but let's just do it anyway. Print Monty underscore Python. I love this interface. This is a really good environment to learn Python. It's just a great environment to learn Python. My preference for first language is something like Rex, but number one, Rex is not object oriented, although it is. There's an object. I mean, you can make any language object oriented. All you have to do is just configure the compiler to understand these things called classes and objects. But Rex is a really easy language to learn, but I've not found an editor as elegant and as handy and as interactive as this one for Python. So Python's a good language to learn. So let's run this and see if we can output what's in Monty Python. So that is Python squared. Okay, let's go to the next one. So this lesson is, well, this is a little ambitious. So let me stop the video here and pick up with another video starting this lesson, okay? Because I don't like the videos to be too long. And the next topic is going to require a little time to explain. So this is video 2 of Intro to Programming using Python. Video 3 will be next.